This heart didn't fail. It was priced out. In this world, death isn't random. It's sold. Life has a cure, but only if you can afford it. One person dies because the treatment is denied. Another lives because the payment clears. Immortality exists. It's just not free. This is a world where life is a product, and only the rich can live forever. It began as a whisper, hidden inside a laboratory. Then it became a roar heard around the world. The code of mortality was finally cracked. Not slowed, not delayed, broken. They didn't just cure cancer, they cured aging itself. The silent decay of time erased at the cellular level. Cells learned how to regenerate. Organs repaired themselves. The human body remembered how to stay young. And for one brief, blinding moment, humanity believed it had done the impossible. We didn't just outsmart disease, we believed we had defeated death. But miracles always come with a price. The moment the patent was filed, the doors quietly slammed shut. Immortality was no longer a dream. It became a product, not a human right, a luxury, a private treatment, a private future. Life itself turned into a subscription, renewed monthly, paid yearly. The cost? More than 1,000 generations of labor. For most of humanity, eternal life was never an option. The dream of living forever became the nightmare of dying in debt. Decades passed, and humanity didn't unite. It divided. The species split into two worlds. Above the clouds, the Eternals lived, cities of glass and light, air filtered, time frozen. Their bodies never aged, their faces stayed young, their lives stretched across centuries. They watched history repeat itself without ever leaving it. Below the clouds, another world struggled to breathe. In the smog and shadows, the mortals survived. They aged, they weakened, they disappeared. Not because nature demanded it, but because access was denied. They knew the truth. Their expiration date wasn't fate. It wasn't biology. It was a business decision, made in a room they would never enter. Two worlds, one species, and a future built on the question, who deserves to live longer? Morality didn't collapse overnight. It was redesigned, reduced to geometry. Lines were drawn, clear, precise, between those who mattered and those who didn't. Debates filled universities and screens. Philosophers asked a dangerous question. Is a human still human without the deadline of death? Does meaning survive when life has no end? Compassion began to fade, slowly, quietly. In its place, a cold logic took control. Preserve yourself at any cost. We didn't lose our lives. We lost something far more fragile. We lost our humanity. The tension finally snapped. This was no longer a protest, it was a harvest. The mortals rose to reclaim the time stolen from them. Cities burned, clinics fell, and for the first time in centuries, the immortals felt the one thing they believed they had escaped: fear. But for those who survived, the victory felt empty. Death was gone, but so was the urgency to live. Without an ending, ambition began to rot. Why rush when tomorrow lasts forever? Art lost its hunger, creation lost its fire. Love became cautious, safe, endless, and meaningless. Passion fades when there is no risk of losing. The immortals sat in their golden cages, perfect bodies, endless time. Staring into eternity, they finally understood the truth. A story without an ending is not a story. It's just noise. So here is the last question. If you could live forever, would you still hurry? Would you still love the same? Would you still forgive? When nothing can be lost, nothing feels urgent. Without death, every promise can wait. Every dream can be postponed. Every goodbye becomes optional. Art no longer screams. Love no longer risks. Life no longer burns. Because fire only matters when it knows it will go out. Immortality didn't make us gods. It made us spectators, watching endless days pass without meaning, without weight. Maybe death was never the enemy. Maybe it was the frame that gave the picture value. Because a life without an ending is not eternal. It's empty.